I want everybody to hear it. If you're violating the law and the Constitution, there's going to be accountability, right? Because we have more than 3 years left of this administration, right? And people need to know that we're not going to forget. People need to know that we're taking names.
It's Ken Harbaugh with the MeidasTouch Network. What you just heard from Congressman Jason Crow is what every elected representative and senator should be saying. As ICE and DHS continue to wage their cruel campaign across the country, everyone involved, from the secretary down to the mask-wearing ICE agent, needs to know that their actions will have consequences. Democrats will retake the House next year, and it will be up to leaders like Jason Crow to initiate the kind of wide-ranging investigations needed to unmask the illegality of Trump's enforcement regime and bring to account those responsible. In part one of my conversation with Congressman Crow yesterday, we also discussed his efforts to rein in the Trump regime's war-making powers and reassert congressional authority. With a potential armed conflict with Venezuela looming, this question of Congress's role in declaring war and in funding America's war machine is vital. Here's part two of my conversation with Congressman Jason Crow.
I don't want to hear a damn thing from any member of Congress talking about national security or foreign policy or defense policy if they're not willing to sponsor and help push one of my repeal bills that will repeal these authorizations of use of military force that have been used as blank checks by multiple presidencies, multiple Congresses, to fuel these forever wars. I just don't want to hear it. That's my first question, actually, is are you willing to retake congressional war powers? And if the answer is no, then they can shut the hell up. I don't want to hear anything else they have to say about military or foreign policy, because they're not serious.
It's a valiant effort, and I sure hope you succeed and get more Republicans to agree with you. One of the things I worry about is an executive that doesn't care what the legislature thinks or does, much less the judiciary. And when you see their behavior in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific, and when you see the intentional testing of executive authority and these outright suggestions that they'll ignore court orders, much less laws. How confident are you that the exercise of that Article 1 authority can restrain the president from blowing boats out of the water?
Well, we have to do both the pull-in of Article 1 congressional authority, but also appropriations. We have to do both.
Good.
Right? We have to cut off the funding. And if this president is going to disregard court rulings, disregard law, then we just take the money away.
That's where I was hoping you would go. How confident are you in your colleagues' ability to do that, given what happened with the shutdown?
I'm not somebody that operates on competence. I'm somebody that operates on leverage and power. And pressure. So my job is to assert as much possible pressure on my colleagues, and not just hope that they do the right thing. I'm done just hoping somebody's going to do the right thing and just expect that they'll want to make good policy with me. I'm just going to put maximum pressure on people and make it impossible or close to impossible to do otherwise. And that is my project. And that's what I'm looking for people's help in, is let's just make this untenable for people who are going to ignore their duty.
I remember a conversation several years ago, just to back up what you're saying, about one of your colleagues from Colorado and the room you gave her to do the right thing. We're talking about Lauren Boebert, right? And that transformation you went through in realizing that, look, pressure is what works in this city. Leverage is what works in this city. Goodwill doesn't get you very far.
That's right. That's right. There, I kind of put people in two buckets here. There are those folks who are duty-driven. They're servant leaders. They're focused on serving the country, the Constitution, fulfilling their duty. And I'm going to work with those people to do the right thing. And you don't have to put pressure on them because they're here to do good work. And then there's everybody else, and those people only respond to pressure. And that's my project.
Do you see the Republican caucus this is a loaded question. You know where I am on this, beginning to crack under that pressure, given what is about to happen this week, given just the fractiousness around the shutdown. As much as Dems get beat up for not having a game plan, it feels like Republicanism as a project is on the verge of cracking apart.
Yeah, I do see those fissures, those cracks developing, and I'm just gonna double, triple, quadruple down on the pressure, which is why I'm running around the country recruiting candidates and doing the work I'm doing to get that next generation of leaders to step up, right? Because amazing things are actually happening right now around this country. You saw what happened a couple of weeks ago in the elections. Yeah. There's a movement afoot, right? And it's not going to happen on its own. It needs leadership. It needs very bold leadership that's willing to take risks, right? My relationship with risk has changed a lot over the last couple of years. And I think we have to take this opportunity and do things ourselves to deliver in ways that we haven't before. And that requires going out on a limb and taking some risks.
Hey everyone, quick break to tee up a trailer for a new show that I have been dying to tell you about. Chris Goldsmith, audience favorite here, is launching his own podcast. Enjoy. Credit card debt isn't just bad luck, it's by design. The banks win, the creditors profit, and working families get crushed under fees and interest rates that never seem to end. The game is rigged, but you don't have to play by their rules. PDS Debt has already helped hundreds of thousands of Americans fight back, cutting debt, ending the calls, and putting money where it belongs back in your pocket. If you're buried under credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt can help. They don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. They look at your situation, build a plan around you, and help you break free faster. No minimum credit score, no gimmicks, just a proven path to get out of debt and start saving again. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, has thousands of 5-star Google reviews, and earns top marks on Trustpilot because they deliver. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have already taken back control. You can too. If I needed this product, it's what I'd use. It's your money. It's your future. Don't let the system decide for you. You're 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Ken. That's pdsdebt.com/Ken. pdsdebt.com/Ken.
This is On Offense, and I'm Chris Goldsmith, combat vet, anti-fascist investigator, and founder of Task Force Butler and Veterans Fighting Fascism. I've spent years infiltrating extremist movements, exposing fascist street gangs, and organizing other veterans to stand up for democracy. And now, we're living in a reality where those same far-right maniacs are getting embedded throughout our federal government. That's why I'm bringing my work here. Raw, direct, unfiltered. Every week on Offense, I'll break down what's happening behind the closed doors of hate groups, how extremist groups are getting closer to real political power, and what it's going to take to stop the next wave of political violence. You'll hear from organizers on the front lines and from veterans who know what real service to country looks like. On Offense is for anyone who's ready to fight for democracy. Subscribe now wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to watch our videos, make sure you're following Valor Media Network on YouTube. America's in a fight for its future. Let's go on offense.
What are the red lines when it comes to military action against Venezuela that we should be alert to, that the American people should send up the warning flare around if one of these things happens? Clearly, it's not the boats, right?
Yeah.
Too much gray area, I guess. There's not for me, but these are still, debatable strikes. Is it? I mean, now we have the idea that CIA agents are working on a regime change inside Venezuela, which, by the way, you don't announce. but that's the administration we're dealing with. What should we be looking for?
I think the honest answer, Ken, is that there's not a lot that the general public will be able to see for something like that. I mean, we can obviously see a public military buildup. I mean, it's pretty easy to see an aircraft carrier battle group floating around in the Caribbean and, nuclear submarines that have been dispatched and, over 1/10 of our U.S. naval power around the world now in the Caribbean. right? That you can see, but there are other tripwires that it's really the responsibility of members of the Intel Committee and Armed Services Committee that can see things that others don't, which is the magnitude of our responsibility. We get read in as committee members on those national security committees to really sensitive stuff, and I take that delegation of responsibility very seriously, and that's why I'm proposing the laws that I'm proposing and the efforts to try to constrain funding as well. Because listen, America needs to get out of the regime change business, right?
It doesn't go well.
What about our history would tell us that we're good at that, right? I mean, give me a break, right? Give me an example in any of our living memories of a time we've done this well. Seriously, nobody can give me an example of that. So we just need to stop being insane and doing stuff like that, which is taking up tremendous amounts of money and time and effort and the lives of our sons and daughters. We just need to stop, right? And there are other ways of asserting pressure on malignant regimes, sanctions, diplomatic pressure, military pressure. But regime change has got to stop.
Last question. I ask this of every candidate and elected. Accountability, investigations for ICE and DHS. Are you committed or I should say when Democrats retake the House in 2026 to supporting the kind of commission on the scale of the J6 Commission or the Warren Commission to investigate what DHS is doing all across the country, in communities, in your district, in my state, to victimize the most defenseless among us?
Yeah,
through ICE.
Absolutely, and I think it's actually critical right now that we are very loud and very clear on that point. That if right now you're sitting here violating the law, violating the Constitution, abusing your fellow Americans, destroying their lives.
Who do you want to hear that? Is it Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino, or is it the guy with the mask on the street?
I want everybody to hear it. That if you're violating the law and the Constitution, there's going to be accountability, right? Because we have more than 3 years left of this administration, right? And people need to know that we're not going to forget. People need to know that we're taking names. Right, and literally, you see that's why public oversight, all these groups and that are out in the community around the country, the cell phone cameras, that stuff is actually really important. Public oversight. When I'm back in Colorado, I talk about this all the time. People say, "What can we do?" Document, record, take names, take license plates. We're going to need this when we engage in accountability for the abuses and the lawlessness of this administration. But so it's important for people to know it now, so they think hard and deep when they're sitting on the verge of violating the law or Constitution or abusing somebody. A. B. No society in the history that I'm aware of in the world that has gone through a period like this and has exited it healthily and been able to rebuild, has been able to do so without truth and justice and reconciliation. Right? There needs to be accountability and reconciliation for a nation or a society to heal. It's essential to the healing process.
To bring us full circle, I think it bears reminding people that most of the evidence that led to accountability for the J6 perpetrators came from citizen investigators, came from sleuths online, identifying people through, matching social media posts and things like that. That's what you're asking people to do right now.
Yeah, it's really, people have a huge role to play in this. Everyday Americans have a big role to play in this project, right? This is not going to be solved solely by folks like me in Washington, sitting in offices on the Hill. This is a project that we all have to undertake together.
Well, we all certainly have our part, but we're looking to you for leadership. Jason Crow, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it. Go Army. Be Navy.
Go Navy, beat Army.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.